Hello everyone, welcome to my channel SW Metro official channel.
Kody and Robyn ask Meri for help this time amid financial crisis. Meri said she couldn't help. Kody Brown and his fourth wife, Robyn, are in the midst of a severe financial crisis, leading them to reach out to Meri Brown for assistance. This request marks a significant shift in their dynamic, especially considering the strained relationships within the plural marriage in recent years. Sources close to the family reveal that Kody and Robyn, who have often been perceived as financially stable compared to the other wives, are now struggling to maintain their lifestyle amid mounting debts, legal fees from past divorces, and the high costs of maintaining multiple households. The couple reportedly turned to Meri, who has built a successful business empire through her bed and breakfast, Lizzie's Heritage Inn, and her LuLaRoe clothing venture. However, in a surprising turn of events, Meri allegedly declined their request for financial help, leaving Kody and Robyn to figure out their next steps on their own. For years, fans of Sister Wives have watched as Meri navigated her complicated relationship with Kody, particularly after their spiritual divorce in 2014, when Kody legally divorced Meri to marry Robyn and adopt her children. Since then, Meri has distanced herself emotionally and financially from the family, focusing instead on her own ventures and personal growth. While she remained cordial with Kody and the other wives, she made it clear that she was no longer willing to be the family's financial safety net. This latest development underscores the growing divide between Meri and the rest of the Brown family, particularly Kody and Robyn, who have been criticized for their spending habits and perceived favoritism within the plural marriage. The financial struggles of Kody and Robyn have been a topic of speculation for some time. Reports suggest that their lavish spending, including Robyn's expensive tastes in jewelry, home decor, and real estate, has contributed to their current predicament. Additionally, the family's move to Flagstaff, Arizona, was a costly endeavor, with Kody and Robyn purchasing a nearly $900,000 home while other wives, like Christine and Janelle, opted for more modest living arrangements. The financial strain was further exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic, which impacted Kody's ability to secure consistent income outside of the show. With Sister Wives facing declining ratings and potential cancellation, the family's primary source of revenue is now uncertain, leaving Kody and Robyn in a precarious position. When Kody and Robyn approached Meri for financial assistance, they likely expected her to comply, given her history of helping the family in the past. Meri was once one of the primary financial contributors to the Brown family, especially in the early years of the show. However, her refusal this time signals a significant shift in her priorities. Insiders suggest that Meri's decision was influenced by years of feeling undervalued and emotionally neglected by Kody, as well as Robyn's perceived role in the breakdown of their plural marriage. Additionally, Meri has been focusing on her own future, investing in her businesses and personal brand, and may no longer see the value in bailing out family members who have not reciprocated her loyalty. The fallout from Meri's refusal has reportedly caused tension within the family. Kody, who has long been criticized for his uneven treatment of his wives, is said to be frustrated by Meri's unwillingness to help, while Robyn has allegedly expressed disappointment, believing that families should support each other in times of need. However, fans of the show have largely sided with Meri, pointing out that she has every right to prioritize her own financial stability after years of being taken for granted. Social media has been abuzz with discussions about the situation, with many viewers applauding Meri for setting boundaries and refusing to enable Kody and Robyn's financial mismanagement. This incident also raises larger questions about the sustainability of plural marriage, particularly when financial strain becomes a central issue. The Brown family's struggles highlight the challenges of maintaining multiple households, especially when income sources are unstable. While plural marriage is often portrayed as a unified family structure, the reality is that financial disparities and personal conflicts can create deep rifts. Meri's refusal to help Kody and Robyn may be a turning point in the family's dynamics, signaling a further breakdown in their once close relationships. As the situation unfolds, many wonder what Kody and Robyn's next steps will be. Without Meri's financial support, they may be forced to downsize their lifestyle, sell assets, or seek alternative income streams. Some speculate that this crisis could lead to further fractures within the family, particularly if other wives like Janelle or Christine also choose to distance themselves financially. For Meri, this moment represents her continued independence and refusal to be pulled back into a dynamic that no longer serves her. In the end, this financial crisis may serve as a wake-up call for Kody and Robyn, forcing them to re-evaluate their spending and financial planning. Meanwhile, Meri's decision to prioritize herself over the family's demands may inspire others in similar situations to set their own boundaries. As the Browns navigate this latest challenge, one thing is clear: the days of Meri being the family's financial lifeline are over. Kody Brown and Robyn Brown, once viewed as the most financially stable couple within the sister-wives family, have suddenly found themselves backed into a corner that many fans never thought they would see, because for years, Kody insisted that his choices with Robyn were based not just on love, but on practicality, on unity, and on a sense that she was the obedient wife who always had his back. Yet the tides of time, poor decisions, broken family bonds, and an unraveling business foundation have dragged them to a place where they can no longer keep up appearances, and for the first time in their marriage, they were forced to turn to someone they had previously alienated, Meri Brown, for help in weathering what has become a full-on financial crisis. But Meri, having been through years of neglect, heartbreak, and emotional detachment at the hands of Kody and, indirectly, Robyn, stood her ground and said she couldn't help, a response that carried the weight of history, symbolism, and even karmic justice for viewers who have watched the TLC series evolve for more than a decade, because while Kody and Robyn presented their desperate plea as something practical, needing assistance to keep up with mounting bills, a collapsing Flagstaff mortgage situation, the debt burden tied to Coyote Pass, and the dwindling income from the show, they were also essentially asking Meri to forget the years of rejection when she begged for Kody's affection, to put aside the loneliness she endured when she remained legally married to him in order to help facilitate Robyn's entry into the family, and to ignore the way her own financial independence was belittled, even though her bed and breakfast, Lizzie's Heritage Inn, has become one of the only successful entrepreneurial ventures associated with the Brown family name. So when Meri responded that she couldn't help, it wasn't merely a practical statement, it was a declaration of self-preservation, because she recognized that stepping into their financial mess would drag her back into the same cycle of sacrifice and invisibility that defined her role in the plural marriage for years, and fans instantly knew that her refusal was more than justified, it was long overdue, as Kody and Robyn's position has been characterized by decisions that always served their unit first, even if it left the other wives unsupported, and now, with Janelle and Christine long gone and thriving independently, the irony of Kody finally being in a position where he had to humble himself and approach Meri for help is almost poetic, because this was the woman he told on national television that he had no romantic love for, that their marriage was dead, and that he had no interest in reviving it. But suddenly, when the bank accounts ran dry, when property values dipped, when expenses on their oversized house in Flagstaff ballooned out of control, and when TLC's paychecks weren't enough to cover everything, Meri transformed in his eyes from the forgotten first wife to the potential savior who might bail him and Robyn out, except this time Meri refused to carry them, and her answer wasn't vindictive, it wasn't laced with rage, but rather it was a calm, almost detached statement that reflected her new reality. She had already moved on emotionally, financially, and spiritually. She had invested her resources into her own life, and she knew that no matter how much pressure Kody and Robyn applied, she wasn't obligated to rescue the very people who let her drown when she was begging for support in her own darkest times. And if we peel back the layers of this moment, it reveals a much bigger story about the entire sister wives' legacy, about the way power dynamics have shifted, and about how independence has reshaped Meri into someone who finally realizes her worth. Because back when the Brown family relocated from Las Vegas to Flagstaff, Kody positioned it as a smart financial move, as the path to building on Coyote Pass, as the step that would unite them all in a shared dream, but instead, it fractured them, left them scattered across rental homes and mortgages, and created an expensive burden that none of them could carry. And when Christine left, she washed her hands of the debt and focused on her life with David Woolley. When Janelle left, she struggled but eventually found her own footing, and when Meri finally distanced herself from Kody, she too decided that she was not going to throw her money into what had become a black hole of broken promises. So by the time Robyn and Kody realized they were drowning, the only life raft left was the very woman they had discarded, yet she refused to climb back into their sinking ship, which makes this moment not just about finances, but about accountability, because for years, viewers have criticized Kody for pouring resources into Robyn's household, for buying her a mansion while the other wives struggled, for legally marrying her so he could help her kids, for emotionally abandoning the rest of his wives while insisting that Robyn was the loyal one, and now, in the stark light of their crisis, those choices are returning like unpaid debts, forcing Kody to recognize that favoritism is costly when the structure of plural marriage collapses. And what's striking about Meri's refusal is that it didn't come from pettiness, it came from clarity, as she has been building her own brand, focusing on her B&B, hosting retreats, creating a life outside of Kody's orbit, and making sure her independence is secure. So when he and Robyn showed up essentially with their hands out, she knew instantly that to say yes would be to undo everything she has worked for. And while fans debated whether Meri should have offered a little support in the name of shared history, the overwhelming response has been in her favor, because viewers remember the way she was treated, the way her catfishing scandal became the scapegoat for all family problems, the way Robyn distanced herself when Meri needed allies, and the way Kody openly mocked the idea of repairing his relationship with her. So why now, fans ask, should Meri sacrifice her stability for their comfort? And this refusal shines a light on an even bigger issue, Kody and Robyn's long-term financial future, because if they are struggling now, with only 2 children still at home, with the show's ratings plateauing, with Coyote Pass sold off, and with fan sentiment overwhelmingly negative toward them, what happens in the next 5 years? What happens when TLC finally decides that the series has run its course? What happens when Robyn's kids need support as adults? And what happens when the Brown name is no longer lucrative? Because without the financial backbone of plural marriage and the income it generated, Kody and Robyn are left as an isolated couple with debts and no village to lean on, and Meri's refusal is not only a personal boundary but also a preview of what life will look like for them moving forward, lonely, strained, and unsustainable, and in a strange twist, what once made them strong, their unity and alliance against the other wives, has now become their downfall, because they burned so many bridges that when crisis arrived, there was no one left to help them rebuild, and Meri's no will go down as a pivotal moment in sister wives history, because it symbolizes the end of Kody's power over her, the end of her willingness to be the scapegoat or the support system, and the beginning of her true independence. And while Kody may try to frame it as betrayal, fans see it as survival, because for too long, Meri gave, and now she is finally allowed to keep something for herself. And that is why this storyline resonates so deeply, not just as reality TV drama, but as a lesson about boundaries, self-respect, and the consequences of selfish choices that eventually come full circle, because Kody and Robyn asked for help, but this time, Meri said she couldn't help, and in that refusal, she reclaimed every ounce of dignity that had been stripped from her over years of neglect, proving to herself and to viewers that she is no longer the forgotten wife waiting for scraps of attention, but a woman who has learned to thrive without the man who wants to find her life.